I'm just, I don't know who's here yet or anything. We're just getting set up for this little set. I see there's a couple of people in. Can you hear me all right? Sound system working and stuff. I'm just trying to get chat up on my laptop, on my computer. It's for some reason not bringing the chat column up. Just bear with me. Hiya Jerry, thank you for coming. John, thank you. Thanks for coming anyway. Al, good morning or afternoon, wherever you are. Thanks for coming. I'm just trying to get, I can't get the chat comments up on the computer. It's not, just bringing a blank box up. Should be with us in a sec. We're going to do some, a little bit of weathering on the building that we're looking at. Right, now we've got the chat up there. Thank you very much. Hello Lee, thank you for coming. Thank you very much. I will try and keep up with chat if I can. I'm not ignoring anyone. I'll show you what I've, this is the spray booth paint chamber. I've covered Jimmy up and he's still managing to whistle. And I got this a few days ago and it lights up. I'm going to switch it on, but it's so noisy we won't be able to hear anything except the fan. But you get the gist of it. That's what it is. Two other items of interest. SCR fan, hello, thank you for coming. Jason at Barnabas Junction, he ran a little competition and I got go VIA or go on. Thank you for coming. King Fox, thank you. Excellent. Thanks for coming, everyone. I won these two. That's a beautiful Bachmann, is that? Very, very well detailed. Needs the minimum of weathering and it's ready to go on the layout. And this is like an iron ore hopper or something. Another lovely price. Thank you very much. Time Traveller, Jake. How are you doing, mate? Thank you for coming. Model Railway Shed, Dino. Thank you for coming, my friend. And this one's going to want some weathering up and doing. Wonderful prize yet again. Thank you very much, Jason. Yeah, those lights are really good. It's just a noisy damn extractor. I'm good, Jake. Thank you. I hope you're well as well. Why did I unsubscribe your channel? I don't think I have, SCR fan. Let me go and check now. Let me go and check. We can sort that out right now. Bear with me, everyone. SCR. No, I'm subscribed still. I'll show you. Watch. Subscribed. Still subscribed. Can you see there? I haven't unsubscribed. Or are you talking to someone else? No, I don't. When I subscribe to someone, I don't unsubscribe. There's no... there's no need to unsubscribe anyone. I don't. Once I'm subbed, that's it. And unless your channel goes defunct, out of business, or YouTube might do something, but I don't unsubscribe. Never. I never do. Timber Chef, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you for coming along. So what I'm looking at now is this. This is a building that I was working on last week. We did some spray paint work on it. We got it finished during the week. I used the red leather colour from Vallejo, and as you can see there, I've done all the paint work. The windows and doors are all moulded in as one. So you've got to spray them all first and then pick out rail freight ones. Yeah, they do. JD Grandpa Rails, thank you for coming, my friend. Yeah, so I've had to pick out in with a tiny paintbrush all the windows and the door frames. I've actually brush painted the doors in a bog standard brown colour. Jimmy, you're horrible. And I've added the soil pipe. I've still got to put in some tiny water pipes yet from the sink outlets and things like that. Those have got to go in next. I'm sat on a piece of card because the soil stack you'll see there is just protruding beyond the bottom of that building, and that's because the building will be sat on card on the layout. We're putting an interior onto that card, and there'll be a raised back alley or street nearby, and so it'll look like it's disappearing under the street. So we've done all the sides, and we did the front in a grid. It's actually based on a real building with an iron front in Philadelphia somewhere. The soil pipe is actually from a company called Scale 3D, and I can show you what they do. If you can put their web address up, Timbers, that'd be great help, please, if you could, thanks. Put it in. They make these, you know, and you order them, you get, I'll get a pointing stick so my fingers aren't in the way. You get those parts that are either a left-hand spout or a right-hand spout. Hillbilly Railroad, Scott, thank you for coming in. Thank you, John, thanks for coming, my friend, do take care. You get the tall pipe with the access hatch. You can't see the details as well here. I'm just wondering if I pull that curtain. We've got sunshine and a sun glare today. And then you get the tiny pipes that connect into these tiny little outlets that there are. The detail is very, very good. I don't know how well we can see it. It is really, really good. No, Jerry, they come off. Bernie Crossways, hiya mate, thanks for coming. They come off dead easy. You just run I just run a little scalpel beneath, and it takes all those little supports off. And what I've done, I've kept all those little supports because I'm going to use them as junk for the scrapyard and street litter and all that type of thing. There's a million uses for them. So those are from Scale 3D. I believe Timbers just put the link up for those. They're brilliant. They're brilliant. Can't fault them. Fantastic. And that's the type of detail that we need if we're looking for realism, you know. If we are looking for realism, and you'll notice they're not entirely straight. When I was building the kit up together and it came loose at the top and I moved it and it went off a little bit. But if you look at a lot of Bailey, thank you for coming, a lot of actual buildings in reality, they're not always perfectly perpendicular. There's all kinds of things that move and bend, and so it's all part of the realism. I believe full drain pipes are coming next, Timbers just said, so we'll look out for those as well. But yeah, I can't recommend those enough. They're brilliant. They're an absolute great detail. Yes, they will. They work with absolutely any sort of kit or building, whatever. They're 3D resin printed, and you just use a bit of glue, stick them all up, and they're fine. It looks good. There's roof details you can get, HVAC, aircon units, and all kinds of things. So if you have a look on that link, you could be able to have a look around and see what's going on. Let's have a look down here. So what I'm looking at now is highlighting some of the details and what have you. And there's a number of ways of doing it. There's a number of ways of doing it to highlight. You can put a lighter coloured paint along some of the edges just to bring those edges to life and things. And you've got to realise we're in a city environment, so buildings get really dirty and they don't always get clean. We don't wash everything each time we have the window cleaners around and things like that. In reality, the buildings get dirty, and maybe once every 20 years they'll get a sandblast, clean them up and refinish or whatever, redo the pointing. So that's what I'm trying to represent. And I've got these ones, these watercolours, and there's John Bannicky, thank you for coming, my friend. Dust and Rain Marks, which is the one we're going to use first, which is not that one. Concrete Marks, I'll dig it out. The last one in the box is Dust and Rain Marks. There's a number of ways you can use these watercolour pencils. So that's the Dust and Rain Marks one. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put a highlight on some of these edges along that top edge and things like that. So I've dipped it in the water, just one dip into the water. James, I see James there. Dugmer, afternoon, thank you for coming in. We're just going to run this across the top. You can see it's leaving a bit of a highlight there along that top edge, if you can see that. I don't know if you can. Just like that. And what I'm going to do now is get a small brush that I've trimmed up myself, that type of thing. Dip it in the water once, a little bit off so it's just damp. It's not wet, it's just merely damp. And I'll just bring that back along. So it doesn't look like a regular line, like someone's got a big pencil and run along the top. That's not what we're looking for. And I'll just draw those back away. You can use all kinds of methods. When this dries, you just get tiny streaks. It shows up much more prevalent on the bricks, on the brick walls and things like that. So we'll have a look here. You'll notice, sorry about that, notification. You'll notice that you can already see some sort of white stain patterns and what have you. And what I've done, I've used this one. It's the Life Colour Dust. Life Colour Dust. I think it's Dust Type 1, Dust Type 2, that one. And I've just used that in a few places to highlight the pointing work between the bricks where it gets washed out and the lime gets washed out of it as time goes on by environmental things. And so it's fairly easy to do all that type of thing. The more time you put in, the more effects you can create. So we'll try and have this. So now I'm going to use this same pencil again. It's the Dust and Rain Marks, and we're just going to look what areas you've got to think where rainwater would gather and drop down, and it'd be somewhere like this, where that step comes down and starts there. It'd be drip down that one. It'd drip down that one. Then we've got where it'd accumulate, run down the wall. It'd accumulate along that top ledge. And under here, it'd just drip down onto the top and then accumulate on that. So it's easy enough to do. I've got the tub of water going. Here again, just dip that in. That's all it needs. A little dip in there. And I'll just try and bring and you can see a slight mark there, I can assure you it looks a much better on the building than it does on the camera. At the moment, that's just a splodge. That's just a splodge, yeah? We've got these splodges on the go. So I'm going to get this brush again. You can see I've trimmed it. It was a flat, this was what a flat bladed brush, flat bristles. I've trimmed down both edges to get a narrower point on it, and I've trimmed it short, so it's not completely stiff. It's still quite pliable and flexible. And I just dip that in the water, dip it in the water once, and then just quick take excess moisture off on a cloth or on your pants, whatever. And I'm just going to use that to drag this down so it looks exactly like it's run down with the rain. Put a bit more on there, it doesn't look as good. All we're doing is adding things that would naturally occur. You can see those streaks coming down, and we're going to do that all over the building. I'm not going to do it all now because you're just going to be sat here watching me do that, and it'll be very, very boring. Let's have a quick look at the chat. Hello, Darren Faulkner. Thank you for coming. John at Schoolkill, thank you, my friend. Dwight Curley, thank you. Thanks, JD, thank you very much. Pants not recommended. Yeah, they're not, but I don't know why I do. Because I'm lazy. I'm lazy, and I didn't get one of my rags. I've got plenty of rags and old shirts. Got an old shirt here that I use as a rag, and you probably should use that, yeah. But these are my old work pants anyhow, that I use for tinkering about in the tool shed and in my workshop and stuff. So basically that's it now. You can see some of the highlights of the brickwork in between, and really we want to make that look. I've done an overspray over the entire lot with that dust colour again to make it sort of look weather beaten. Yeah, don't do that, yeah, as Timber Surf points out there. Don't lick the paintbrush to make it into a fine point, especially if you've already been using it in the paint. Not good. Joe Raider, thank you for coming. Thank you. And so I've got some of the brick highlighted there, as you can see, and there's some darker places and what have you. It's just how I've done it. I've just washed it about. Let's have a look here. We'll try a bit on this and see how it goes. We'll try a bit. I'll use this dust number 2, and I'll use a different brush altogether for this. I don't want to highlight it too much because it'll end up looking like new brickwork that's been recently finished. So this is the brush I'm going to use for this. Very, very fine tip on it. Very fine tip. I don't know if that'll pick it up properly, but it is a very fine tip one. There's a lot of good recommendations coming from Timber Surf. There are a lot of safety features, and I've shook it up. We're going to use what's in the lid. That's all we need. We don't need much more than that. Now I'm going to try and keep it in front of the camera while I do everything, so that it's so I've dipped the brush into the water, get some of this onto the brush. I don't always use water. I never use water when I'm using these colours in the airbrush, never. I don't like it. I don't like the way it behaves. In this instance, water is as good as anything. I'll just move some stuff out of my way. and we just put it in. Right, it just looks like a big white splodge. I know what you're all thinking. It is doing a little capillary work up and down. If you do notice on buildings, some of the brickwork is more prominent than others where it's had new pointing or things like that. So I'll carry on using some water. Keep it moving with water. And as you can see there now, it's highlighting everything, but it just looks like a white patch until you start bringing it further and further away. I don't want a big brush for this because I don't want water and debris running all over the place. And just keep it spread out and keep it moving. You can see now it's not looking as bright as it once did. But it does, for all intents and purposes, still look like a big white patch. Until you get much more water in it and keep it moving. There's no set pattern to it, you just let it go. You know, where it wants, where it capillaries to, just keep swishing it about. If you're going to do the entire wall like this, it doesn't always matter where you start and finish, so long as you blend it all in together. Now that eventually, when it dries, will give you the effect of pointing work. And now you can rub your thumb along that, and you see it's blending in even more. Across there, simple as that, simple as that. And if you want to be a bit particular, get yourself a cotton bud like this, dip that in the water, and all you're doing is moving it about. You've just put a tiny amount on there and it's spread about all over, and just draw it down. That's been dipped in the water. And just draw it about. I know it seems like you're putting it on and then taking it off, but it is, believe it or not, sitting in the brickwork where we wanted it to be in the first place. In between, so it looks like the cement in the pointing. I don't want it looking too bright and new, because that infers that it's well looked after and what have you. Dear El Darrell, thank you for coming. How are you doing, my friend? So we can see that. If I put that light on, see if that helps or not. Yeah, you can see it a bit better now. That, what you can see there is just damp. We just see the wet, and you can see just slightly bits of white here and there in the brickwork, which is ideal. I'll keep on with that, and it'll end up looking more like that when it's finished, and we'll have all these areas of wash and rain marks down. You can spend ages, and now it's coming up to cold weather, winter time. It's what I like to do. I'll just move that. I like to spend ages working on stuff, and there's always something, so long as you don't overdo it with too much weathering. But excuse me, we've got such a big surface here to go out. We can try half a dozen different methods and things on it to make it look good. You know, we've got all these ledges on the top, the window ledge there. Those are a natural target for accumulated dust and debris, and that's what that's what just makes it that bit different, or a little bit better, you know, than it ordinarily would do. And it's the same along these ledges and around here. Rainwater might accumulate, or God forbid there's a leak in a pipe. Really don't want that. Charleston Eastgate, thank you for coming. Middleport, how are you doing, my friend? Thank you all for coming. And like this one, we've got a massive surface area here to work on. We can do all kinds of things. We can even put those transfers on, you know, if we find some advertising transfers that are water slide, they look great. Oops, that's a big blob of water on there. Doesn't matter. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about when you've got digger in the house. So first of all, I'll absorb some of that because I don't want a big blob of water. So we'll just take it off with that. Same again, we use this little purpose made brush. Just dragging it down. I know you know, a lot of people are thinking, oh, this is going to check your edges, and you're not running trains out. But when I'm not running trains and tinkering about, I may as well be doing something towards it. And the thing is, when I am running trains, I'm always looking around and thinking, oh, that could do with this. And that's why I've all my buildings, the wiring and the lights are fixed in such a way that I can lift the building up away, bring it back up to the model workbench for some califudging and weathering and detailing. So if I get other things that I want to add, I can always bring the building back in and take my time and do it in a more comfortable position on the bench, rather than trying to do it while it's on the layout. Wigwag, thank you for coming, my friend. Dan's Model Railroad Journey. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate each and every one of you coming over. It really does. It really is appreciated. Thank you. Thank you all. Yeah, dry brushing, sorry. Dry brushing works well. There's a lot of methods you can use, and there's a Russian girl called Dasha, and what she does is use oils and put dots of oils and then brings them down with a lubricant, like and dilutes it and adds the streaks and things that way, rather than using water-based things. That's just my son creeping about in the room there, so I've just gone quiet while he communicates in sign language to me what he wants. Let's hope it's not rude sign language, yeah? Dave, BNFN Scale, thank you for coming, my friend. I really do appreciate it. So what we'll have a look at now then is looking at a little bit of powders. And as you know, I make my own powders. Come on out, you devil. You see, I've had to move everything around on the bench to accommodate this new spray booth, and I haven't found the optimum place for everything yet. But it is going to be organised as time goes on, so we don't worry about it. So I'm going to look at where, especially around the back. Now the back of this building is not in line with the railway, but it is quite close to the railway tracks, and therefore it's going to get a lot of dirt. Fred from Wilbury Castle, thank you for coming, my friend. Really appreciate it. So I've got some powders, and my go-to city grime type of thing, 2017, 21 now. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And it's a grey powder. You just about see it in there. And it's purely just black and some white mixed together till I get a shade of grey that I'm happy with. There are 50 shades of grey, I believe it or not. And I'll just use a part worn brush. It's a round bristles, you know, it's or more like a cylinder, and I'll use this just to apply it. When things are a matte surface. Hi Eric Bailey, thank you for coming. Yeah, there's lots of methods. I like them all. I like the powder, I like the paints, pigments, everything. They're all tools that are provided for us. Hiya Simon, thank you for nipping in. Thank you, my friend. So all I'm going to do for this, just dip the brush into the powder. I've made these myself out of pastels, and I just adding it onto the window. It doesn't matter if it blows about and what have you, because in the real world that's exactly what happens, isn't it? Obviously you need an area to do this type of work where your wife isn't going to go mad at you and for messing up and making stuff mucky and horrible. She does leave me to my own devices, does my wife, Ron, which is good of her. Yes, my wife's called Ron. Ron is short for Sharon. Sharon Mulrooney. From the Mulrooney clan in Ireland. And so I'll just dust those over. Now, like I said, where a paint's matte and there's a lot of structure on the surface, the powders are going to stick without a problem. You can just see there, they're looking at a bit muckier for having that powder on. And the same method can be used on the brickwork, and you'll see it highlights. Paco, thank you for coming. It highlights the brickwork as well, just by doing a smudge. And you can see that's a dark streak. That's exactly the same type of streaking as the weathering streaks that we put on with the pencil. With the weathering pencil, you can do exactly the same with your powders. And why I'm doing it darker on this one is because the situation is that it's near the railway at the back. The back of the building faces the railway, and it's going to get dirty and horrible. There's going to be a lot more dirt about than there ordinarily would be if it were facing the street, although the street facing ones can be just as bad. If you think you've done it wrong, you've done too much, you probably haven't. But if you really don't like it, you can remove it, and you can always respray, start again and do all that type of thing. But I tend not to worry. I tend not to worry about it, because there isn't a right and wrong when you're doing this type of work. You know, you can overdo it. You can overdo it. I'll tell you that much. And there's a lot of people say less is more. Exactly, Daryl. Down and dirty. Yeah, they say less is more. And the thing is, to a degree, that's true. You don't want to make dirt on above every window and dirt rain streaks all the way along the top, because then it doesn't look real. It looks far too much like I don't know, like a cartoon or something. It just wouldn't look right. But you want it here and there, and it actually picks out. It picks out and highlights the brickwork, and it brings your attention to those areas when you're looking at it subconsciously. When you're looking at that building, your eyes drawn to the weathered parts. Just try it, look away and then look at the building. Thank you, Middleport. Yeah, give us a thumbs up. That's good. Yes, multiple layers as well, wigwag. Different colours, all that type of stuff. But the idea behind it is that the weathering draws your eye in, and it draws you towards, and you can actually, when you're looking at a distance, you can see areas that have no weathering there and there, that really could do with having a bit of muck added to them. That window ledge there looks far too clean and tidy. And you do the same with the actual glass windows, you know. They're not always going to be spotlessly clean, are they? They're dirty, and sometimes you can get where they've wiped them in the middle and the dirt's all around the edges still and stuff like that. And it just helps. That's very subtle there now. You can see a slightly darker area. I don't know if you can. I can see it just there. It's slightly darker where dirt and grime from the railway engines and the rolling stock has been carried on in the air and met the rain and come down on the building to make it all look dirty and horrible. And that's basically how I'll go about doing it. I do have some favourites. I love the pencils. It's just like paint, and you can really accurately place it without too much fuss. Thank you, Dwight. That's very nice of you. Let's see. Paint the lintels a different colour. Yep, that's all detailing work that has to be done at some stage. It all and above the windows too. Yeah, they're not always going to be the same colour, but I'll have to paint them and then weather them. So we get the idea. You can actually have it any style you want, any style you want. At one time, thank you, Middleport. At one time, it would have been a premier building when it was first built. Like I said, this one is actually based on a real life building somewhere in Pennsylvania. I don't know where. Lots of new N scale from Sev. That's good. That's good. I'm not sure. I know certainly the British viewers in the UK and the British Isles here will know that Hornby have decided to introduce TT 120 scale into the mix. I don't think it's going to do that well. I'm a doubting Thomas. I'm sceptical. And the thing is, the amount of products that are available for that scale are absolutely abysmal in comparison what's available 008 or absolutely miserable, and it'll take them 30 years to catch up, and 30 years time I'll probably be dead anyhow, so it's not going to affect me, but in 30 years time I might look at it if I were alive. But even if I was alive in 30 years time, I'll be too old to be bothering starting a new layout, I think. So I don't know what people make of it, but I think we've got 008, we've got N gauge, N scale. I don't think we need another. I don't think we need TT. There's Oxford diecast, which belongs now to Hornby, have done or are doing 3 vehicles initially for TT 120. Just think how long it's going to be before those 3 or 6 altogether, I think, before those are available. And the style of vehicle dictates the period in time of when your layout is. You can't pick and choose, because there's that. Yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me, Fred, neither. Yeah, you're very limited to what they produce, and you. Yeah, they're struggling with the membership packs already. You see, in this gauge and in N, we can be modern era. We can have a heritage line on a modern era layout, so we can run some of the older stuff, some of the modern stuff, modern street furniture, modern vehicles on the road, trucks and what have you. But with TT right now, if you wanted to do a layout, you are stuck with the time period that Hornby has chosen for you. They haven't chosen it for any other reason than they think that's the one that's probably going to sell. You're right, Timber, yeah, it will, but there's not a lot of ancillary products. Yeah, it failed in America, and if it's failed there, I can see it failing abysmally in the United Kingdom as well. I mean, right now, people still go to America to shop for stuff for the layout over here, like these beautiful, beautiful buildings, because we don't have them here. And that's same with me, John. It's that green, Jerry, is... Oh, hang on. See if I can get it out there. It's not that one. I'm trying to do this without causing a big... That's the one. No, it's not. It's not that one. It is the other one. What a fool. It's this one. It's Gunship Green. 71014 from Vallejo. I used, because I've got another building just like this, and I used the pale green on that one, which is almost like a sage green. I like them both. They're both nice shades. They're both nice, really are. But yeah, I just don't think the TT120 is going to be a big success. They've introduced the locals that they think will sell best. There's not a lot of regard for the ancillary products. Where now can I go, if I'm on TT120, whereabouts on the internet can I go and look for 3D printed products in that gauge? I really don't think I can. Norman, thank you for coming. How are you doing? Thank you to Timber and Boxcar Jerry. You're doing a good job. I'm beyond mad. Yeah, it's not going to be compatible with the existing one. No, it's kind of in between N and H or double O, Jerry, this one. It's a bit of a strange scale, but like Tim was just pointing out, it's not compatible with everything that's already available in Europe for the 3mm scale, and so I just can't. I wonder why they've done it. I just don't know. I just do not know where they've done it. Pico are doing Western Wagonworks, Scale 3D and Pico are all doing TT120, but are they investing as much resources into it as they have done with the regular popular scales? You know, I'd hate to see anyone invest a serious amount of money into producing stuff for it and it doesn't take off. I really wouldn't. I wouldn't like to see that happen. I'm not saying I want to sit here and pontificate and watch Hornby fail. I just don't think they've got the market for it. The amount of railway modellers that exist in the UK is a lot. A lot of people are railway modellers. And a lot of people have already invested heavily in N-gauge, double O gauge, HO. We've already thrown the money in, we've already done it. There's no way on God's green earth am I going to stop this just to go to a scale that's got so limited in its accessories and ancillary products. I'll be twiddling my thumbs for 20 years waiting for stuff to be made. Motor vehicles, modern ones, what if someone wants to go modern? You can't right now. You've got to stick with the damn scale they've give you and with the products they've provided. I can't get a post box in TT. I can't get all these pipes and things that... How can I put it right? In the last few years, 3D printing has come alive and given modellers access to this type of thing, so we can produce some absolutely incredible details that we would never have been doing before these 3D print chaps came along with the resin printing. It might be, Norman, but it's not going to work on me because they haven't got the products available. They've got nothing in comparison. And the thing is, in the last few years, we've got all these products becoming available to us for the existing gauges of HO00, and now to some extent N. N's a growing market all the time. And I want to stick with my 00 so that I can carry on with these details. And I know the manufacturers out there, Scale Model Scenery, Scale 3D, sorry, they're all producing stuff for this market already. And they're not just producing a set of drain pipes, they're producing all kinds of things that you don't even think about until you see them on the website. And put that link up again for us, please, if you can, Timbers. And there'll be things on there that you haven't thought of, but when you see them, you realise you want them or you need them. And I do the same with Scale Model Scenery. I go in there and they're constantly developing new products. And as soon as you go in there, there's 2 or 3 new products and you think, I never thought about that, but it looks good, I'm going to have some. And it just keeps moving in that direction. And so I really can't see that it's feasible for anyone to stop what they're doing and go to that scale or add. I'm not sure, Boxcar Jerry, I'm going to say no, it isn't that popular, but somebody might correct me. Some of these manufacturers of this will know more about the scale popularity than anyone because they'll be getting demand for certain scales. But yeah, S. And I know all gauge, your scale's popular, but you need a lot of room if you want a decent layout for that. So it's more popular in the United States and Canada than it is in the UK, and it's a great asset. It's a great string to the bow. But I could see somebody who was starting up model rail, building their own model railway layout and whatever. I could see them actually deciding to have a go with TT. But even then, for me, right now, it's in its infancy. They haven't got the support behind them. They haven't got everything. Yeah, 172 is a popular scale as well, and you can get away. I've got a vehicle to do, a truck that's 172, and it's going to be a big old rusty truck sitting in the scrapyard, but I believe I can get away with it between 172 and 176. It's when you start mixing it too much. You see a 172 next to an HO vehicle, you'll notice a difference, but a 00 next to a 172, you might not notice a difference. And then a 00 and HO next to each other, there's not much difference either. You can tell if you know what you're looking for. But Anthony Dodge, thank you for coming. I'm very well, thank you. I hope you are too, my friend. You can always tell the difference, but some things will mold together. Norman. Yeah, you wouldn't have guessed, would you? I was going to make something rusty and horrible and sit on the scrap. That's my favourite stuff, as you all know. I just love making stuff rusty and horrible. I've got the truck here. I don't know if I showed it yet last week or not. It's fuel Bowser. I'm probably going to build it without the Bowser on the back, and I'll put that as an oil tank, some factory or something like that. I'll put a flatbed on it, or maybe a towing hook, so it's been a wrecker at one time and it's in better days and it's going to sit in the scrapyard gathering muck. And so we'll open the lid if we can on this, and you can see the size of the cab from that. And looking at, I don't think you can tell on here, but looking at that, it's going to work all right, because it's supposed to be a big truck, you know, and it'll fit in well on the layout. And I'll put it with other things and dress it up. I'll look at that. You see that? Oh, disaster. That wants gluing back now. That's we reaching about and clowning around in it, but it's not the end of the world. We just put a bit of glue on it and sit it back in its place with some glue on. I shall do that later. If I do it on camera, I'll make a mess of it. I'll make a big mess. Don't worry, Joe, it's not the end of the world. They're all, it's not a one piece. They're all in little sections like I showed on the print. This is one piece, and then the branch with the connectors on is one piece, and the pipe in between is separate, and that's a separate pipe. And so it comes in little pieces. Plumber, thank you for coming in. Cart Johnson Street, thank you for coming. Thank you very much. Good to see you, mate. And so it is in kit form in that respect. So I'll spend a little bit more time on that, and I'll glue it up properly and get it sorted. I may even do what Timbers has suggested with the lintels. I may do, I may not. I'm not sure yet. Sometimes with these buildings, if they're privately owned, each floor is owned privately, they have different paintings, different window frames. I made this all the same window frames on the back because I wanted to get it done and ready for today. And those are slightly different. Those are brown on that side, the same as the doors on the shop down at the bottom there. I haven't put any floors in yet. I haven't done any of that because I'll do that last. What I might do is put the floors in, decorate them up with furniture and what have you, and then fix them into position and decide which ones are going to have lights and which ones aren't going to be lit up and that type of thing. So basically that's about it. I'm going to carry on doing some more weathering streaks along the bottom, especially in line with where these streaks are. You can put accumulated. Yeah, me too, John. Yeah, that an apartment building, that's what this is going to be. But it didn't start. It's going to be. It didn't start off its life as that. It started off as something fancy, like a Bloomingdale's department store, ladies' clothes, gents' clothes, children's clothes, housewares and accessories and furniture and all that type of stuff. And then it's what's that question? Sorry, I just missed that. Yeah, they're going to be weathered. They're going to be weathered of those, Charleston. Yeah, definitely. I'm sorry if I'm missing comments. Yeah, Dwight, it's fine. Everyone's seen it now. I'll just glue it back on. Luckily, it wasn't in use when it fell off, eh? I may well put something on there. Yeah, I've got a couple left over, but I might order some. If you go to Scale Model Scenery, there's some, and you can tailor make them with any wording that you want, and they'll dial that into the machine and print them off. Hey. Yeah, but you can get something printed off by them with it, whatever wording you want, and I've got it all on different factories, mills and stuff like that. So I could have something on this from when it was originally a fancy department store, or yeah, from when it was a fancy department store, we could have something on there reflecting that, but it'll have to be really well worn and really well weathered, so that it's more or less coming off from when it was first built. And I've got to do some fire escapes. I did the last one I did, and I used ladders, and I really don't like it. Every time I see it, it looks wrong. So the ladders are coming off, and I'm going to use steps or ladders at an angle, just one straight ladder all the way down. The outside didn't look good. I have seen them in real life with a ladder coming all the way down to the ground, fixed to the wall, and then the fire escape over it, which probably would have looked better. I've put the ladder on this end, and I don't think it looks right, and I'm never going to be happy with it. So I'm going to take the ladder off, rearrange that, and do something different. And I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to take my time building the fire escape. So if I get live next week, which will be next Sunday at this time again, it's probably going to be building the fire escape and fitting it on. So we can, I know there's commercially available ones, but I've sort of been kit bashing to put one together, you know, to make it look, yeah, that'd be good. They're needed, but they need to be, hiya Sparky, thank you for coming. They need to be like these, so that you can alter the length, the spacing gap between each floor, because obviously not every, I have, Charleston, yeah, I have used I used it when I was doing this building. I used it to do this building, and it works well. It works well, and it's just a little bit noisy, that's all. That's all I can say. It's a little bit noisy, but that's all it is. That's all it is. That's a downside to it. What, I've just got distracted myself on that. So yeah, that's the fire escape thing. But if someone's building a kit, it has to be so that we can alter the length between floors, because not every building is the same. It could indeed get expensive, but what do you do? What do you do? You know, I knew I was getting these buildings given to me off a very, very dear friend of mine, a very good friend. And so I ordered, I do have some drain pipes and things for carrying rainwater away, and drain pipe kits, and those are great, but there's not soil stack kits. So I ordered a lot of these, knowing that I wanted to use them on all the buildings. So it could get expensive, and what if you're going to spend, I don't know, 10 or 15 quid on a building just to do that fire escape? It's up to yourself. It's for your own leisure and pleasure, isn't it? There's a lot of things I don't like spending a lot of money on, and there's other things where I don't mind spending the money. You know, it's the same. It's the same for everyone, you know, all kinds of things. You'll spend a lot of money doing one thing, but you don't want to spend so much doing something else. I don't like buying brand new locomotives around the 200 quid mark, when I know I can get a perfectly good new loco, well detailed, at the 120 quid mark, if that. And if I'll find a pre-owned one, I can get that even less, you know, 100 quid, 80 quid. Right, yeah, acrylic fumes are not a nice thing. None of them are, but this pipe, I just shove it out the way when I'm using it. I shove the exhaust pipe out the way, and it keeps everything. It's a very good fan. It extracts everything really quickly. No need to bother too much about it. Everything gets extracted and taken away very, very well, very, very quickly. And there's no need to bother. Sometimes, Fred, yeah, sometimes I do. Mark at Hameldown, thank you for coming, my friend. We're more or less going to be wrapping up in the next few minutes. I don't think I've much else to do at this, and get going. You know, I try to watch as many videos as I can, especially those who I'm subbed to. I try and get around as many as I can in the hours I have during the day. Sometimes you can watch and be doing a bit of tinkering and doing your weathering and kit bashing and building whilst you're watching. Do you know, if I had an internet line all the way to the train shed out the back, at the bottom of the back garden, that would help, I think, because I could watch them while I were doing stuff on the layout. But then you can't always pay close attention, can you? It's not so bad with live, because you can turn away and turn back. Yeah, there's a lot of good modelers out there. And while we're talking about that, tonight, 8 p.m. UK time, which will be 3 p.m. East Coast for United States, it's Kathy Millett live stream. That goes on for a good couple of hours, and there's always something really interesting to learn from that. And she pays a lot more. Yeah, that's it, Sparky, 3 p.m. Eastern. She pays a lot more attention to the chat than I actually do, and because she does it differently. She runs the video at the side. Yeah, I'm thinking about obtaining one of those timbers. I really am, because I could do to be doing a little bit more in the shed. And the internet connection's wonderful. But yeah, if you're watching Kathy, she's talking you through stuff as she's doing it. So she's a separate video of what she's done. She talks you through how she's doing it, and she can answer questions at the time. She's got the format worked out and very well organised, whereas I'm not. I just get the model on and waffle on and try and catch as much of the chat as I possibly can. Hopefully don't miss anyone. So if I have missed you, I do apologise. I'm not trying to ignore anyone deliberately. It's just that the chat goes past really quick. And on the phone it comes up and on. Thanks for putting the link up there, Timbers. Norman, you're aware of it, aren't you? Because Norman goes in there to help out as well. But it's a great live. It's a great live, much better than anything I do. And she's certainly a lot nicer to look at than I am. So if you've got the time, I strongly recommend that you go. Everyone knows who Kathy Millett is and knows the quality. She's one of the premier modelers there is, really, and we can all learn a lot from people like that are willing to give the time. Thank you very much, John. I appreciate that. Yeah, Norman's in there as well. In fact, Norman, are you okay with moderating on here as well, so you can help Jerry and Timbers out? Yeah, that'd be good to see you there, Fred, if you are. Norman, let me know if you're okay with that, mate. You do, Jerry. Yes, you do. You keep charge of everything. Anthony, that's very, very nice of you to say. Thank you, Norman. That really is kind of you to say, Anthony. But I do recognise when I'm in the presence of greatness, and I like what I do, and I like to think I'm reasonable. But like I say, I do recognise when I'm in the presence of someone who is head and shoulders above everyone else in the country. But it's all good fun. We're all enjoying it. Thanks, Norman. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, it is very nice of you to say that, Anthony. Stretch, thank you for coming. There's not much left. We're going to be calling it a day very soon. Very soon. So I'm going to be saying goodbye. Thank you all for coming. It's been great fun. It's gone very, very quickly. And I'm hoping to see some of you over at Kathy's lecture. Thank you, John. Thank you. Nice one, Jerry. Oh, that reminds me, I did have an email. Another email from Anonymous in Rhode Island. Who could that possibly be? I'm giving him nightmares. My channel gives him nightmares. I don't know. I only know 2 people in Rhode Island, and one of them's Peter Griffin off Family Guy. So, and I don't think Peter Griffin's messaged me. But all in good fun. I appreciate that comment, Jerry. I really do, mate. You don't know how much fun I get out of it. You know, it's all in fun, and I like having fun. It's great stuff. So thank you all ever so much for coming over. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm really, really grateful to you, all of you. Thank you so much. I'll say goodbye now, and I'll see you later on someone else's live, on one of your videos, or at Kathy's tonight. Thank you all ever so much. Thank you, Jerry, Norman and Timbers. Appreciate it. Bye-bye for now, my friends. Take care.